I'm so excited. It's NFL wildcard weekend. I'm so happy. And I pronounced wildcard wrong. I don't care. I'm so excited. Okay, before I get into today's video, let's get to my low, my high, my act of kindness. My low is the fact that my mom was working yesterday and she kind of got home a little late. Like, my low is also the fact that for whatever reason, when I put my jersey on, I kind of messed up my hair a little. Yeah, there you go. That's better. Okay, so, yes, my hair is messed up. That's my low for the day. Okay, now my mom got home really late from work, and, you know, I didn't really spend that much time with her, but I did see her for a little bit, and it was nice. My high is, you know, I get to see my mom, and actually, my high is, no kidding, I got the best surprise ever. So I'm hanging out with my dad last night, right? And out of the blue, we get a phone call. And it was my brother. And no kidding, he, his wife, and my 3 nephews all came for dinner. Oh, full disclosure, my father and I already ate. We got subs from Meniere's. My brother and his wife got food from Shanghai Express. And by food from Shanghai Express, they got like fries and chicken nuggets, which is really like the sweet and sour chicken that's like, you know, bread and deep fried or whatever. I mean, my brother and sister-in-law got wings, but they were going to have theirs when they got home. Wings from Bernie Murray's, actually, which kind of makes you wonder what they were doing on the way out there. And it does actually set a precedent for potentially going to somewhere like Libs as a family, but that's a story for a different day. That's a topic for a different day. But I got to see my nephews. I played with them for a while. It was a lot of fun. And let me tell you, considering the last couple of days, I really needed to see them. Because while it's still difficult, playing with my nephews legitimately gives me validation for a decision that I made a while back. I'm not going to get into it. No, this isn't the time or place for that. We got football to talk about. And my act of kindness was obviously watching my nephews, you know, play and stuff when they were with us. They only stayed for about maybe 15, 20 minutes, but, you know, it's that family time, and it was nice. And I'm going to get to see them a couple times this weekend anyway, so that's really great. So, without further ado, good morning. Happy Saturday, everyone. Happy wildcard weekend, everyone. And with that said, let's get into the video I do every year, which is the top 11 Super Bowl matchups I want to see. Now, why am I doing top 11? Well, like the Nostalgia Critic before me, I too like to go one step beyond. That's why I do top 11. So, as per tradition, I like to lay out the ground rules I created for making this list, because, you know, I can't just pick 10, especially when I tend to just group a bunch of things together for whatever reason. And I really did try and do a bit better this year than in previous years. And I did pretty well overall. So with that said, more ground rules. Another thing, you have to be a team that's in the playoffs. If your NFL team did not make the playoffs, I'm sorry, your team will not be on this list. Maybe next year. And one major rule I gave myself was, if I was making these picks, like, is there any story behind it? Is there a hype factor? Like, if someone were to like see this list, and then we get to like the Super Bowl matchup in question, is there like a unique story behind it? Is there something that, you know, you want to see? So, without further ado, let's start with the easiest one, which is number 11, the Seahawks versus the Dolphins. I picked them at number 11. I picked that matchup at number 11 because this is like the Super Bowl that's least likely to happen, as both the Seahawks and the Dolphins are 7 seeds and probably won't make it out after this weekend. But it is always a nice story. And I mean, wild cards making it to the Super Bowl and winning is not unheard of, not remotely. So it is possible it could happen, but not likely. So that's why it's number 11. Now, number 10, I actually decided to do something a little bit different. I went with the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the San Francisco 49ers. Why? Because, full disclosure, let's say that we get that Super Bowl. Last year, the Jacksonville Jaguars picked Trevor Lawrence number 1 overall. Right now, the starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers is Brock Purdy. Pick number 256, or is what we like to call Mr. Irrelevant. So the number 1 overall pick versus Mr. Irrelevant. You can piece it together from there. Now, number 9, I went with a theme here, is the Baltimore Ravens versus the Philadelphia Eagles or the Seattle Seahawks. Because it's a battle of the birds. Duh. I mean, Ravens versus Eagles or Ravens versus Seahawks, it's birds. It's kind of funny. Okay, moving on. I forget why I picked this one, number 8. Oh, you know what? I picked this one, number 8, because it's the Bengals versus the Vikings, and they're both the 3 seeds. So this Super Bowl matchup is a bit more likely to happen. As well as the Bengals have Jamal Chase, and the Vikings has Justin Jefferson for receivers. Plus, Joe Burrow versus Kirk Cousins. I want to see that. Sure. Okay, number 7. Chargers versus the Cowboys. Full disclosure, every time the Chargers and the Cowboys play, it's always a good game. And naturally, it would make for a very good Super Bowl if they had one together. And therefore, it's possible. Now, number 6, this is when we get into more story-driven matchups that I had. And number 6, I have the Kansas City Chiefs or the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, why do you suppose that is? Well, the one thing that the Chiefs and the Jags have in common is that their head coaches, both Andy Reid and Doug Peterson respectively, both used to coach Philadelphia. So basically, if the Chiefs or the Jaguars make it to the Super Bowl, they would be coaching against the very team they used to coach. See? That's a good story right there, right? I'm sure a lot of people eat that stuff up. Ooh, now number 5, this is where things get interesting. Because I actually went with a Super Bowl rematch. Trust me, you're gonna hear a lot of that coming soon. So at number 5, I have the Baltimore Ravens versus the New York Giants. For those of you who don't know, the Super Bowl rematch I'm referring to took place in the year 2000 when Baltimore had arguably the greatest defense in the history of the NFL. And they absolutely destroyed the Giants. They beat the Giants with Trent Dilfer as their quarterback. Now, technically Trent Dilfer is not a quote-unquote bad quarterback, but as my father would say, he couldn't throw from me to you. I'll let you process that for a bit before I move on. Okay, there we go. Now, number 4 is another potential Super Bowl matchup, and this is one I grouped together. See, at number 4, the team I have representing the AFC is the Dolphins. And the team representing the NFC is either the Cowboys or the Vikings. Believe it or not, each of those two scenarios would be a Super Bowl rematch. A Super Bowl rematch in which the Dolphins lost the first game. Yes, the very first time the Cowboys won the Super Bowl, it was against the Dolphins. And wait. You know what? I'm going to have to call an audible on this one. Oh, no, I'm not. Never mind. I thought I was going to have to call an audible, but I didn't. And as for the Vikings, they lost to the Dolphins. Yeah, I said that wrong earlier. So the Cowboys beat the Dolphins, and the Dolphins beat the Vikings. Either one of those Super Bowl matchups could potentially happen again here. That's why I have it at number 4. Now, number 3 is when I really, from 3 on, that's when I really start grouping things together. So at number 3, the team I have representing the NFC is the 49ers. And meanwhile, the team representing the AFC is quite literally anyone. You heard correctly. I already talked about the Jaguars versus the 49ers, but quite literally every single matchup that the Vikings could have in the Super Bowl is primed for a good story. Such as, if not, including but not limited to, the fact that the 49ers beat both the Bengals and the Chargers in the Super Bowl. They beat the Dolphins in the Super Bowl. They beat the Actually, they lost to the Ravens in the Super Bowl, but that's still a Super Bowl matchup. They lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. That's another Super Bowl rematch. The only team, to my knowledge, that I actually already talked the Jaguars and the Niners, but the only team I didn't really talk. The only team that really would be difficult to kind of make a narrative together or a hype factor would be if the 49ers played against the Bills. But the fact that the 49ers have Mr. Irrelevant as their starting quarterback, and he's playing great against Josh Allen, who's not going to want to watch that? Now, number 2, you probably thought this was coming, but I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers representing the NFC. And again, against anyone from the AFC. You heard correctly. Now, why do you suppose that is? Well, let's break it all down. Actually, there's only, you know what? To break it down, you need only 2 words. Actually, 5 words. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. The quarterback and the GOAT himself on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus anyone from the AFC. Where do I even begin? If he went up against the Jaguars, Tom Brady would go up against one of the coaches he lost in one of the Super Bowls he played while he was at New England. That's one. The Dolphins, Brady against the Dolphins. Again, New England stuff. That happens. Let's see. Chiefs, come on. Chiefs versus Bucs, that'd be a Super Bowl rematch. Joe Burrow versus Tom Brady. I'm sure everybody's going to eat that up. Lamar, the Ravens against, actually, no, I'm thinking of the Raiders, but, the Bucs versus the Ravens, the team that both teams at one point had the greatest defenses of all time, that'd be a rematch. And, come on. There is one other matchup that I do need to discuss. All right, also, the Chargers, Justin Herbert versus Tom Brady. That'd be a good match, too. But let's get to number 1 because there's a reason why I haven't talked about the Bills yet. Because for number 1, and you probably saw this coming, I have the Buffalo Bills representing the AFC. And the team from the NFC, quite literally anyone. I just talked about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Well, Tom Brady owns the Bills. How sweet would it be if we got a Super Bowl where it's the Bills versus Tom Brady again? Would Tom Brady keep him owning the Bills alive? Or would the Bills finally get one over him in the biggest game possible? Already have a great match right there. I already touched a little bit on the 49ers versus the Bills. That's one. Let's see. The Bills versus the Eagles. Actually, the Bills versus the Eagles will be interesting because, for those of you who don't know, Buffalo went to the Super Bowl 4 years in a row, and they lost all 4 games. Here's the kicker. Every team they lost to was a team from the NFC East. They lost to the Giants. They lost to the Cowboys twice, both of which would be potential Super Bowl matchups here. That's why I have it at number 1 as well. And they lost to the team from Washington. It's not apropos to call them their original name anymore. That's why I didn't do it there. The Vikings, actually, the Vikings versus the Bills, that's another team for the NFC and a potential matchup. Why? Well, simply put, I mentioned the Bills went to 4 Super Bowls and lost. The Vikings have gone to 4 Super Bowls and lost. How interesting do you think it would be if both of those teams met in the Super Bowl? That means, no matter what, one of those 2 teams would finally get the Super Bowl win, while the other would keep that losing streak alive. That sounds pretty interesting, don't you think? The only team that really seems a bit of a stretch as to how you can get like a hype factor would be like the Bills and the Seahawks. Actually, the quarterback for the Seahawks is Geno Smith, who did play for the Jets, and he played against the Bills a lot. You could probably work something with that. So, yeah. I'm pretty good about this list. Give me a minute. I want to make sure you guys can see this. Let's see if I can bring it a little closer. You can, I'm giving you guys an opportunity to pause this. It's hard to hold up straight. Okay, that should be good. So, yeah. We have, actually, that reminds me. Thanks to the national championship game, I was finally able to get an even 272 NFL picks I made throughout the regular season. Because remember, the Bills versus Bengals was canceled, so I decided I was going to use the national championship game as, sort of makeup game. Because that's about as close to an NFL game as you're going to get in college football. So, for those of you who actually, hold on a second. One moment. Actually, hold on. The very bottom is the overall pick number I made for this season. I can just get to it real fast. There we go. Now remember, the very bottom, that's the year. 160, 110, and 2. That is my record for the remaining picks, for all the picks in the NFL regular season. Not bad for finally actually completing a year. Although, it begs the question. You have 6 games this weekend, making it 278. You have 4 games a week later, making it 282. 2 games, 284. That means 285 games overall. Do I dare? Well, as far as I remember, the Seahawks and the 49ers play today, And tonight, it's going to be the Jags and the Chargers. I mean, let's say that for the sake of argument, I don't really have my Cowboys making it to the NFC Championship, which I'll be honest, they're not winning. I'm not, you know what? I'll love with you. I have no faith in my Cowboys whatsoever going into this weekend. None. In fact, I would not be surprised if we wound up losing on Monday night. So, if I did make NFL picks, I'll pick the 49ers and the Jags. I'll pick those guys to win. And remember, that was the Super Bowl matchup I had, so might as well get that going. I hope you like this video. And yeah, I have the 49ers and the Jaguars winning. Yeah. So I hope you like this video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on social media. As always, I am very humble in this video for all of you guys watching. Enjoy for today. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Saturday. And remember, if any of you want to talk or chat, I'm always going to be here to lend it. I'll always hear back. Take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.